Alrighty, so I hear through the grapevine that we have an out-and-out socialist who just won a Democratic primary in New York City. Honestly, this is probably some of the most exciting news, and it is more evidence for how good the DSA is at their job. Just 5 years ago, having a out-and-out socialist who wasn't named Bernie Sanders was something that we really could only hope to dream for, but now it seems to be happening more and more often. So let's go ahead and see what we have to cover. But before we do any of that, I want to go ahead and showcase some of the fan art that y'all put so much time into because it looks fantastic. And there is so much art of Suris, the flat-chested and evil maniacal doppelganger who is either mint or lime-flavored. They won't fucking tell me. There's just a bunch of this fan art now. Also, this is what happens when you bring attention to a new creation of the community. You get more of them. Anyway, could have done better job with the shading. Very fun to draw, though. Very fun idea to draw, though, that I came up with. Well, thank you very much, Poppers. This looks fantastic, and it is giving me massive Sonic Adventure 2 vibes. As always, if you want your fan art to be shown in a future video, the best way to do so is to drop it into the fan art section of the Discord. That all said, I want to go ahead and see what the hell is going on here, because I figured the best way to learn how our new socialist overlords are going to treat us is by having Charlie Kirk explain it to us directly. So let's go ahead and take a listen.
New York is becoming a communist Bolshevik. We got to talk about the fact that
what?
New York is becoming a communist Bolshevik town. It's incredible.
Oh, yeah, no, Charlie Kirk is laughing there because that's not the fucking case. That's not what the fuck's happening over there. We're just going to go ahead and open up this second screen, and let's take a listen to what the hell is going on.
I've lived in New York State for 50 years and only recently moved to Connecticut and New York City for 17. I can't believe they've done this. How did we go from Giuliani, Bloomberg, cross over de Blasio and Adams to a socialist who now is very likely to win because anybody who gets the Democratic nomination wins. Now, it's true, some people will organize against him. Some New York business leaders are very scared. Some Jews in New York are very scared that this guy...
Why are Jews scared? Is it just because the guy is Muslim? Because, like, you know that the Christians have a pretty hefty amount of experience with being anti-Jews, like anti-Jewish as well.
Who defended globalize the Intifada recently on a podcast at the Dispatch is their next likely.
All right, do you know what that even means? Like, what the fuck does globalize the Intifada mean here? So let's go ahead and see here. Let's see here. What does it actually mean? Let's go over. This is from American Jewish Committee. I don't know if this is actually useful information, but let's find out. In anti-Israel demonstrations around the world, one frequently heard chant is globalize the Intifada. It's a phrase used by pro-Palestinian activists that calls for aggressive resistance against Israel and those who support Israel. Okay, the most prominent expressions of Intifada have been through violence, so this phrase is often understood by those, and hearing it is encouraging violence against Israelis, Jews, and institutions supporting Israel. So, you understand that these are not the same thing. So, Jews are people of the Jewish faith, Israelis are people who are Israeli citizens, and institutions supporting Israel are systems, corporations, and otherwise. While the intent of the person saying this phrase may be different, the impact on the Jewish community remains the same. So here's the thing. If you're not willing to accept that Israel is attempting to wipe out, and Netanyahu specifically, but he's got control of the Israeli military, so what are you going to do? If you're not willing to accept that this is a person who is actively trying to genocide Gazans and wants to wipe them out completely, And if you're not going to take the words of our own President Donald Trump, who wants to wipe out the entire West Bank as a venture in real estate to put up nice tourist hotels, and has even posted AI videos of what his dream for the West Bank looks like, then maybe you can understand, if you're not willing to denounce those things, why somebody might not be willing to denounce this particular phrase. While somebody could hear this and go, oh my god, that is very scary, at the same time, you need to remember that this is mostly a call against a nation that is currently in the process of genociding another people. And if that is the case, then maybe shut the hell up. I'm sorry. It's like if somebody shoots you with a gun, and then they get upset that you aimed a gun back at them. Like, I'm sorry, my guy. Maybe if you didn't want to be shot at, you shouldn't have escalated the conflict to one where you shot me with a gun. I apologize for shooting back. Citrus Peppercorn says the AI video is Gaza, not the West Bank. So, honest question. I appreciate the correction. But do you think Trump knows the difference? Because I don't think he does. I think all he sees is Middle Eastern Arab brown people. I'm pretty sure that's the only thing he sees when he thinks of Palestinians, when he thinks of Gaza, when he thinks of the West Bank. His only thought is that, oh, these are the people that one military organization that I like is angry at. But apparently he's also pissed at Israel right now, because right after he said, we have a ceasefire, the war is over, Israel still sent fucking missiles. We'll see if that ceasefire holds with Iran. We'll see if it does. Said Bohemian Lucis, probably not. Citrus Peppercorn says it means shaking off like the Taylor Swift song. Okay, so globalize the Intifada. I don't give a shit about this statement. It's gonna mean something different for each person who says it. If they are saying it in a way that construes, hey, maybe institutions that support Israel currently should be boycotted or should not be supported, and hey, maybe we shouldn't be genociding Gazans, then you know what? I don't give a shit that they're saying the statement. It literally means nothing to me.
Mayor, so they could potentially organize now in a way they didn't before the primary to stop him. But if you had to put money on it, you'd have to put it on this guy becoming the next mayor. What does this say about New York and our country?
Okay, so that's weird. Apparently, whenever I click on Final Fantasy VIII, it just doesn't work. That's weird. I love when things just don't function. Alrighty, let's go ahead and continue this fustercluck down here.
Well, a lot, and I'm going to push the envelope a little bit, Megan. So you have to give me, and you can push back at any time. So I think it's very
you're in
important
trouble.
to talk.
I saw you're in trouble with Jessica Tarlov of Fox News on the internet.
Well, yeah, I'm going to say it here on air because I just I don't hide from my opinions. But yes, and you can push back and disagree, and I'll give all the proper caveats, which of course I believe in. But yes, the socialism part is very important. I mean, he has like some of the dumbest ideas imaginable, which we're going to have city-run grocery stores. Yeah, that works really well in Cuba. Bring back bread lines, right? Mamdani 2020.
So you know that a city-run grocery store is not the same thing as bread lines. That's not the same thing as bread lines. Your bread lines are what happen when nobody can afford to eat in the first place. A city-run grocery store is quite literally just an amount of money gets used by the city to purchase the same groceries that are purchased by Walmarts and Targets and others. Also, if it's New York City, a couple city-run grocery stores, all that's going to be is just competition for the frickin' fruit stalls. Aaron Permet says, is Suris actually playing Final Fantasy VIII? No, I'm just watching a pretty image going on the screen, and I have a 3D character model that is able to walk across that screen, but everything here is pre-rendered. It's very hard for me to actually use the term playing to describe what's happening right now. So, Fennec says New York City has grocery stores. Yes, it does. Yeah, there's Targets there. So usually they're underground. Like the Target that I went to was in an old bank vault. They had hollowed out all of the inside of the bank and had turned it into a grocery store. Like, New York City does have grocery stores. They're just either on corners, or they are multi-story buildings, or they are underground. Like, the Five Below that I went to was underground. The Target I went to was underground. They do exist there, though. Ali Holly says, why go to a grocery store when there's a bodega right there on the corner? It depends on what you're going for. So, like, I'm not very familiar with all the prices in New York. I've visited there a number of times, but my experiences are still very limited as somebody who does not live there. Bohemian Lucy says, underground grocery stores? Sounds odd. You've not been to New York City. There's not fucking space. That's what you have to do. So, in New York City, the only way that you can actually get something like a grocery store, something that has the size of a grocery store, into any area is finding some place that already has a lot of space and then utilizing it. You can't use most normal storefronts because there's not going to be the space you need there. There's not going to be the square footage. But, like I said, the one that I went to was a hollowed out bank. You took an escalator down into it, and as you were using the escalator, there was a bank vault door on your right hand side that was still left over from when it was a bank. Jebatique says that sounds amazing. Actually, like, I love New York City. I love New York City. I've loved it every single time I've been there. Like, honestly, in a perfect world, I would like to live in New York City. That is an ideal location for me to live at. I adore the city every time that I am there, and while the housing is cramped, it's not super great if you're in the city, and it is way too expensive, it is still a place that I would really like to be. Fennec says you could live right next door to Telltale. Yeah, and then I can just bug the shit out of Owen and go, hey buddy, hey, collab now? Collab now? You want to collab now? Collab now? Hey, Telltale, collab now? Like, I can just do that. Anyway, back to Charlie Quirk.
And obviously he wants to tax the rich. He wants to take more money away from people. All that's super bad. He wants to defund the police. He's on the record saying defund the police. He wants to send social workers instead of cops.
Okay, so... All right. So I've always had a bit of a problem with the defund the police slogan. Not that it's bad. I agree largely with the idea of defund the police, and I think I've supported it pretty much every time that I've talked about it on this channel. Unfortunately, the problem with defund the police is that it's a hard slogan to defend because it's a hard slogan to define. So when you say he is in favor of defunding the police, okay, cool. What does that mean? Does that mean getting rid of some of the police and replacing them with social workers so that when you have to do things like mental health calls, it's not a guy with a gun showing up, but instead somebody who wants to listen to what's going on? Because if that's the case, then I'm fine. Citrus Peppercorn says his policy is keeping the police budget the same. If that's his policy on paper, then Charlie Kirk is just lying. But what he's probably doing is he's taking instances where a person has said something online and then saying, this is your policy position. There are scenarios where a paramilitary organization is not appropriate. It's true. It is entirely true.
But, like, we need to also understand, and we have to be very delicate how we talk about this, and I'll give all the proper caveats, right? Not every Muslim is bad. A lot of Muslims are really decent and good people. My primary care doctor is actually Muslim. I've endorsed someone running for office as a Muslim, Zuhdi Jasser here in Arizona. So we all know individually good Muslims. But we also must kind of take pause and say, wait a second. The two financial power centers of the West are obviously London and New York. And are we really going to have two Muslim mayors of the major financial power centers of the West? Like, let's just take a...
Why does that matter? I'm just curious, why does... So, okay, here's the reason why this confuses the fuck out of me. Yes, it's the I have a black friendism. That shit's already kind of weird. But the thing that's really strange to me in all of this rhetoric is the fact that if we were to instead talk about a Christian being the mayor, nobody would blink an eye about a Christian being the mayor. Not a single person would give a shit. But suddenly, when it's a different religion that is functionally no fucking different, yes, they have different holy books, yes, they have a few different tenets, but by and large, they are both major world religions. And in a theocracy, they both impose the same level of control on people. So I don't quite understand why it's bad that he's Muslim. It only matters that he's Muslim if he wants to enact, like, Sharia law or some shit. Again, whatever the fuck your boogeyman version of Sharia law happens to be. It's making me think of a lady screaming, "She's not a Christian!" Yeah, of course, dude's not Christian. Who cares? I don't care if he's Muslim. I don't care if he's Buddhist. I don't care if he's Christian. I don't care if he's atheist. I don't give a shit either way. I care that they're going to do a good job. And not everybody lets religion affect whether or not they're going to do a good job.
Pause and take a step back and, like, what does that say and what does that mean?
It doesn't say or mean fucking shit. It says or means that Islam is one of the two largest religions in the world. It is the largest religion in the world if we are not counting Catholicism and Protestantism as both Christianity. So, at this point, it just says a fucking numbers game is all it really does.
And people say, well, it's irrelevant that he's Muslim. Well, you said it best. He wants to globalize the intifada.
Right, but what does that fucking mean? What does that mean here? He wants to globalize the intifada. Yeah, Charlie, my question is going to have to be, if that is such a scary statement, can you populate that statement with what he actually means that statement to reflect?
And by the way, that just means globalized terrorism. He is the first...
Globalized terrorism. You're aware that we're in America, right? Like, if there's any country that actively supports and even funds terrorism more than any other, it's probably us. We have the most influence in the world. One of our forms of soft power that we enact very liberally is overthrowing other regimes. And you don't do that without terrorism. My guy, Charlie... Those words don't fucking mean anything to an American that lived through the Iraq War.
Mayoral candidate of any significance to say that he supports sanctions of Israel. I want you to understand that. That is America's most Jewish city, New York. And
who gives a shit? What's wrong with sanctions on Israel? Like, you need to actually tell me why that's bad. And currently, you're not. He just said he supports sanctions on Israel. Okay, cool. Follow that up with why I give a shit. Because as of right now, I don't. What does sanctions on Israel look like to you, Charlie? And why is that spooky? Why is that scary? You have to follow up with these answers.
And he wants to sanction Israel. And we're not allowed to mention that he's also Muslim. Like, I'm sorry, like, that actually matters a lot.
Okay, but is it him being a Muslim that makes him want to sanction Israel, or is it him being a humanist? Like, just out of curiosity, because, again, one of these countries in the world is currently involved in an active genocide of another people, a mass displacement of them. Citrus Peppercorn says, Zohan responded to this. He said the Arabic translation in the Holocaust Museum used that word to describe the Polish Jewish ghettos that Nazis made. Used which word? Intifada? global, like which word are you talking about there? Will Sharratt says can only assume from his words Charlie Kirk hates America and opposes the First Amendment. Who knows? With his face that small, he probably isn't really big on speech.
And he should be put on the record and ask questions about not just his faith, but also, do you think that it's good that we're continually importing hundreds of thousands of people that don't import our values? And
we are a melting pot, and he's the mayor. He's going to become the mayor of the biggest melting pot city in the fucking world. Who the fuck cares about the individual values of the people coming in as long as they are not committing crimes? Everybody should not share the same fucking values. I'm sorry. Diversity is a good thing. As long as the only shared value that we can actually give a shit about is liberty and freedom. Like, those are that's the American dream, right? That's the thing that matters. Do you care about liberty? Do you like liberty? Do you like freedom? Okay, cool. That's the value that should make you American. You don't need anything else. All of it other is just culturally grafting shit on.
look at Ilhan Omar. Is Ilhan Omar a good example of someone that has pride and patriotism and gratitude for our country? It's not a good track record so far. And from Mamdani, you're seeing some...
Why are we bringing Ilhan Omar up in here? Is it just because she is a Christian? Okay, cool. Ted Cruz is now my barometer for all other Christians. All I can do is just talk about Ted Cruz now. Is Ted Cruz a good example of a Christian to you? I'm just going to bring up Ted Cruz. Because apparently, you can't tell these people the fuck apart if they are part of the same religion.
Someone that has resentment-driven politics, super bad economics, terrible economics. But dare I also say, a radical cultural orthodoxy that is going to be introduced into America's largest city. One that will...
Right, but what is radical cultural orthodoxy? What the fuck does that mean? You're stringing words together because people will find them spooky ooky ooky. But those words don't fucking mean anything, Charlie.
Will not make it a safe place for Jews, not a safe
Cassifel,
place
thank you for the
increasingly, I think, for
raid.
Western values and potentially Christians. And to say that you are in favor of boycotting, divesting, and sanctioning Israel in America's most Jewish city, and it's just a coincidence that that guy happens to be Muslim?
Yes, it has nothing to do with him being Muslim. It has everything to do with Israel being actively engaged in a genocide, you moron. Why are you like this? Why is your face so small? Charlie, listen to yourself. Listen for just a moment. All you've got to do is ask, what is the motivation here? What possibly could motivate him? If it's his religion, then suddenly every Muslim ever is a bad guy and automatically an anti-Semite because you're making the assumption that his religion is the reason behind this. I don't think that's the case. I think it is more likely the case because he is a socialist. He is somebody who cares about human life, as most socialists do. He would want Israel to be boycotted and sanctioned so that it would, I don't know, stop doing a genocide or some shit. Cassabel says, it is because Charlie Kirk is actually wearing a slightly larger than scale Charlie Kirk suit. He had it made a long time ago, but he's like the Rhino. He can't take it off. Sidebar, would that mean that the Rhino has, like, the absolute worst gym stank of all time? Because that's really gross.
Yeah, I think that's complete rubbish. And final point I'll say is this, is that London is a captured city. I don't know if you've been there recently, Megan, but
awful.
it is a husk of its former self. It is terrible. And I don't like the fact that I go to Piccadilly Square and I see more Arabic than I see English, that I see more stores that are Yemen, Omani, Saudi Arabian. That is a conquered and a captured country.
What the fuck are you talking about? Do you literally just see? So first of all, psychologically speaking, we are more likely to identify the things that are different than the things that are the same. We actively, psychologically turn a blind eye to the things we're used to, and the things that we are not used to or paranoid about are the things our eyes will drift to more. So I'll just psychoanalyze you first, and then let that be the beginning of this fun bit. Okay. Second very important thing here. Why does any of that matter? All you've explained to me is that there are vendors there. There are Muslim vendors there. Oh no. I'm so scared. There are Muslim vendors there who might be able to sell me some delicious halal food. How's it going, Bonbon? He doesn't know the difference between Sunni and Shiite. And to be fair, I also don't know the difference because I don't care. It's not my religion. It's not my habits. It's not my life. I don't give a shit. If a person is actively harming people, then I suddenly give a shit. But all you've described is there are stores with names that are weird. Who cares, Charlie?
And Mamdani has to run on his own merits. He's his own individual person. But he has not given any indication that he is anything but a radical socialist and someone that is trying to continue the Mohammedan march in the West.
Okay.
Individual Muslims can be great members of American society. We all know them.
But uniquely
macro,
not this one.
In the big picture, are we really benefiting the more that we are importing?
There are some good Christians in the world, but in the macro, are we really benefiting from having so many Christians? It sounds stupid when I say that. But it's the same statement, Charlie. The only difference is that it's not the religion you subscribe to.
Islamists into the West? I say no, and I think we should have a lot of caution making a Muslim socialist the mayor of America's largest city. And I know I'm in trouble for saying that, but
no, you're not.
I'll double down on it because I think that
nobody
comes
gives
with
a
a
shit.
lot of baggage and a lot of...
Nobody gives a shit that you said that. Your base is all right-wing. Not a single one of them care, but every one of them is going to call you a hero for possibly getting yourself canceled when there's nowhere for you to get canceled on that you actually engage in. Zero Life King says, it's gonna be a white boy jihad summer, baby! Casabel says, Mamdani is a radical socialist? Sell him to be harder, Charlie! Let's fucking go!
trouble.
The response to not your argument, but it's been your feelings have been espoused by others, including Benny Johnson, who said he tweeted, "New York City in 2001 will never forget." After the World Trade Center, New York City in 2025 elects Muslim jihadist. That's not what you called him. You did not call him this guy a jihadist.
No, I did not, for the record, I never said that.
You did not say that.
And I like Benny a lot, but I did not say that.
Yeah, but here's how Ryan James Grodowski responded to Benny. He says, it's a low IQ hot take. He says, Mamdani's not a jihadist. Sure, he hates Jews and supports a global movement to kill them.
Does he? But he's not supporting those. When has he said he hates Jews? When has he said that he supports a global movement to kill them? That just sounds like defamation. Ravi says, oh my, you just sounded like Kane from the Amazing Digital Circus. Bohemian says, why bring up 9/11? So, the reason they're going to bring up 9/11 is 9/11 is what caused some of the great American fear of Arabic people, of Islam as a religion. It's where a lot of that stems from. Obviously, that kind of xenophobia already existed in America. You had to stoke the flame somewhere, but the thing that popularized it, the thing that made it mainstream, was 9/11 happening. Lee says conflating Israel and Jews as anti-Semitic, they're doing it anti-Semitism. That's why I pointed out earlier that when you do the whole like, oh my God, he's going to globalize the Intifada, it doesn't make much sense to not clarify what he specifically means by it, because that could mean that you're anti-Jewish. It could mean that you are anti-Israel. It could mean that you are anti-corporations that support Israel, and all of them are very like each one of those is very, very different. Some of those are bigoted, some of those are not bigoted. They are all very, very fucking different from one another. Will Shart says, guys, let's not get too excited. He's only a democratic socialist. I don't know why they always try to make them sound so much better than they are.
Because he's okay with the globalize the Intifada chants. But he's also about queer liberation and women's rights. This is true. He's just an identity-based socialist.
Those are
where
good
your
things.
value is connected to your race. I mean, that's the thing. Like,
socialism isn't about your value being connected to your race. What the hell is wrong with you, you moron? Socialism is when the workers own the means of production. That is what it is. It is about people who are classically in the control of corporations being in control of their own income. That is what socialism is. Communism is a classless, moneyless, stateless society. It is arguably impossible, because once you have enough people, you inevitably end up getting things that communism would not be about. Socialism, in my opinion, is much easier to achieve. Tails, thank you very much for resubscribing, because socialism is just the workers owning the means of production. This is why socialists argue for unions, because unions offer a fraction of the power that the employer has. Esoteric says, I remember when radical was more commonly used as a slang for cool. It's really only right-wing leaning folks that decide to use the word as part of their vocabulary. He's a reformer on the slow march to socialism. Yep. Socialism is when the government does stuff. And when the government does a lot of stuff, it's communism.
the true radical jihadis are not out there at pride parades and wanting to make a major part of their platform pride rights and free trans surgeries for minors, which is part of Mamdani's promise.
That's a good point.
Right, so
I agree.
He's an odd jihadi if he's a jihadi, according to Benny Johnson.
I like Benny a lot. I would not, and I won't say anything negative about him. I wouldn't use the word jihadi, but I will say though he has hatred for the West, and that we can all agree upon. Where does that hatred come from?
Yeah.
Does it come from?
And we all agree that he has a hatred for the West? So, people on the right wing seem to conflate hating America and hating the West with wanting these things to change or improve. I don't hate America. I don't. But I don't stand up for the flag when everybody is saluting the damn thing anymore, because I don't like what America's become. I feel like a parent with a child that I know can course correct their life, that I love, that I desperately want them to engage in course correction. That's what it feels like being an American in my shoes right now. I do not hate this country. I do not hate many of its values. I wish we valued its people more. I wish we valued our veterans more. I wish we didn't constantly cut their funding so that they could actually get the help they need after, quote, quote, serving the fucking country. I wish that we didn't have police forces that try to double as nannies, because then they fucking shoot the kids. And we've seen that happen. I wish America was better. That does not make me hate America, and that does not make somebody else hate America or the West, simply because they want it to improve.
From his radical professor father? Does it come from the Shia Islam that he believes in?
But wait, let me just ask you about this. I accept that, but does he hate it any more than the white Upper West Side women who surrounded me when I lived there?
No, that's
they
voting
feel exactly
for him.
as he does.
Totally. No, I agree. And I think, though, that he now represents, should we import more people like him that obviously have, I mean, again, he was, I think, born here. I don't know, or did he?
No, he was born in,
I don't know.
He was born in
Why did you not do this research beforehand? You're doing a whole lot of criticism about him, but you didn't actually do any research on him? That's really weird. Okay, cool. Anyway, in favor to you, there is a little bit of research we can do on him, only because, let me show you, Representative Andy Oglis, who's calling Zohran Little Muhammad, wants to deport him out of the United States. This is what happens when any flavor of socialist actually gains clout and power. Everybody wants them fucking gone. You know that old saying that if everybody around you hates you, then you're probably doing the right thing or some shit? I don't know exactly how it goes, but Jesus Christ. The Honorable Pam Bondi, dear Attorney General Bondi, I write to request that the Department of Justice open an investigation into whether Zohran Mamdani, currently a candidate for mayor of New York City, should be subject to denaturalization proceedings on the grounds that he may have procured U.S. citizenship through willful misrepresentation or concealment of material support for terrorism. This is what people do when they're scared. Pandora says Fujin is a cutie. Oh, look. Fujin, dominant girl, white hair. She checks my boxes. She does check my boxes. Minute Rise says racism, Islamophobia, transphobia, nativism. What a night to forget my conservative talking points bingo card. Zero Life King says Trump didn't even try to give Zohran one of his cringe nicknames. Zohran Mamdani was right there. Low energy. Sad. Jesus Christ. While I understand that some may raise First Amendment concerns about taking legal action based on expressive conduct such as rap lyrics, speech alone does not preclude accountability where I reasonably suggest underlying conduct relevant to eligibility for naturalization. This guy wants to deport him because of rap lyrics. He rapped "Free the Holy Land 5, my guys." Oh my fucking god. Do we do that? Do we deport people out of the United States for rap lyrics? Is that what we do? Is that what we do? Really? Oh my god. These people are a joke. These people are a goddamn joke. I can't take any of this shit seriously. I can't. I'm gonna keep playing video games while I listen to Charlie Kirk.
Where was he?
Kenya or something?
We just went over this. No, Uganda.
Ghana. Uganda. Yeah, and so has this guy been a great picture of American assimilation? No. And that is the tragic truth of far too much Muslim immigration to the West. You see it in Rotterdam, you see it in Paris, you see it in London, you see it across Germany, is that the Islamist world does not assimilate well to the Western world. In fact, they create their own pockets of no-go zones. They try to take over City Hall, as you could see evidence in.
They're not no-go zones, though. They're just places with shops. That's like calling Chinatown a no-go zone. Because you're scared of rice. Uganda propaganda. Hello, my brother. Do you know the way? Charlie, do you know the way? We'll just do that. Fuck it. Islamist equals Muslim is like NAR Christian. Pandora says I'm actually playing in a Fabula Ultima campaign heavily based on Final Fantasy VIII. Our party's a bunch of teenage mercenaries. Yeah, where are the no-go zones? Where are the no-go zones that I can't go to? Citrus Peppercorn, thank you for the 245. That wasn't the only... one the Young Republicans Club of New York City has urged Trump to revoke his citizenship and deported him under the Communist Control Act of 1954. Why? Why is everybody just suddenly like, this guy got some power? Deport him, deport him, deport him, deport him. If you want to know what it looks like to have an entire system against you, like if you want evidence of that, this is that. I was at the gym earlier today, And at the gym, they play all kinds of news. MSNBC, CNN, Fox News. Plays on all the different TVs there. You're allowed to tune into whatever one you want. And I shit you not, it is surreal as fuck watching Fox News run a segment critical on Zohran Mamdani for being a radical socialist, and then looking slightly to the left and seeing CNN doing the same fucking thing. Watching CNN run a segment about him saying that he's too radical and Dems are abandoning him. This is kayfabe. That's what that is. Kayfabe is when you have a bunch of places that are quite literally faking it till they make it. If Dems were not abandoning Zohran Mamdani, but you put out into the world the lie that they are, en masse, then it will make some Democrats consider abandoning him. Guess what it is? Guess what you do? It's a spooky tactic. It's a scummy tactic. But it is a tactic.
In London and Rotterdam, they tried to create own areas of their kind of Sharia-type law and radical Islam. I don't know if that's what Mamdani will do, but I know this. It doesn't matter because he is a perfect personification of what we call the red-green axis.
I don't know what he's gonna do, but it doesn't matter. Bitch, if you don't know what he's gonna do, then stop talking with a fucking authority.
The red-green axis is Marxism and Mohammedism that come together to destroy the West.
Mohammedism?
And he is an agreeable spot for that. There's a lot of Muslims in New York, and there's a lot of, also to your point, white upper East Side middle, higher income earners that have luxury beliefs that want to, whatever reason, see the suicide of New York City. What is shocking is that the richer you are in New York City, the more likely you are to support Mamdani. The poorer you are, the more likely you were to support Cuomo. And so
blacks and poor people in New York voted for Cuomo, and Asians and whites voted for Mamdani.
I'm just going to say right now, I've never felt very comfortable when somebody refers to black people as blacks. Blacks. Something about not saying people afterwards. It feels weird. I don't know. And to be fair, I don't feel the same way when somebody says the word Asians. So I don't know if that's just like my brain firing on the wrong cylinder.
It's amazing.
So I think and it's just, the point is this, is that it's obvious he hates the West. Where does that come from? I don't know. Now, if his name was Clark Smith, he might have the same sort of radicalism. But I do think that there is a pattern recognition that for whatever reason, people get really mad when you mention, which is like, wait a second, we now have Sadiq Khan, and we have Ilhan Omar, we have Rashida Tlaib, and now
Mamdani,
and none of these people have nice things to say about Western civilization. And either they or
is it perhaps because they grew up in a post 9/11 world where Western civilization, as we understand it, was largely against them merely for fucking existing, and they've had to spend their entire time growing up in a world where everybody is shitting on them, everybody is criticizing them, and all they want to do is fucking exist?
Their parents are here on invitation only to the West. That is the distinction. We have made a conscious decision to bring millions of people from the Middle East or Muslims into America. Has that worked? Is it a good thing? Is it improving New York? Has this guy been a shining beacon of assimilation and adopting American values? Or is he an insurgent against New York City to try to break it down, make it into a poor version of Gotham? And so I want to make sure everyone in the audience understands. So there are some good Muslims out there, obviously, but as Islam has crept its way into the power centers of the West, it has not materially improved our life. In fact, it's done the exact opposite.
But can you quantify how it's done the exact opposite? The most you've been able to say is that there are now stores that sell halal food, and that freaks you the fuck out, I guess. Like, what? Why should I care? Why should I care? Falcon the Fearless has PC version. Yes, this is Final Fantasy VIII Remastered. So it has improved models. Slightly upscaled visuals, though the backgrounds are still the same ones from the PlayStation 1, so they look a wee bit blurry, even though the character models look like they're from the PlayStation 2. Katini says, I thought Gotham was Chicago, Metropolis was New York City. Suris, you should care because halal food is yummy? Yeah, but there's lots of yummy food. What I'm saying is, whether or not the halal food comes in, I don't care. What I care is, did harm happen? If harm didn't happen, then that's it. Okay, so like, I'm not gonna do the thing. There was a short that I watched a long time ago of a racist guy in a MAGA hat who was talking to a Mexican, going, "Oh my God!" Yeah, see, there I go. I said Mexican instead of Mexican person. Is that why? I think that's why. It might just be my brain firing on a weird cylinder. But anyway, he was talking to a Mexican person and was doing the whole MAGA spiel of, we're going to build the wall, we're going to deport you. And then he ate a taco. And he went, this comes from Mexico? Now, hold on there, buddy. Hold on there. Maybe we got off on the wrong foot. I think I love Mexicans, actually. Like... Aaron Primit says, I forgot if Suris gave his honest thoughts about Rinoa. Rinoa is my favorite Final Fantasy girl. Of all the Final Fantasy girls, of all the Final Fantasy love interests, Rinoa is... Well, actually, no. She's my second favorite. She is favorite number 2. Favorite of all time is Yuffie, but Rinoa is up there. Sarah Chikorita says, I mean, white people tacos aren't very similar to actual tacos. That doesn't matter. It's over analyzing a joke from a video that I am badly quoting. Bree says, Selfie though? Okay, look, Selfie is a cocaine addict. That's it. That's it. Bree says, autistic actually? Cocaine addict. Very cocaine addict. Pernia says, no Tifa love? Tifa is number 4 in Final Fantasy women. Because, like, I'm sorry, Tifa has to fight with Terra. And I'm just gonna go with Terra. If I had a choice between Tifa and Terra, I will go Terra all the way. Apologies. Suris just licks Aerith into the void. Will Shart says, what about Dagger? Princess Garnet is great. She doesn't even make my top 10. You're over here just being a fan of Yuna. I still need to play through 10 to form an opinion on Yuna. Anyways, Charlie Kirk. It's just going to be him freaking out. That's all it is. His point largely seems to just be, oh no, I live in a world where Muslim food and Muslim shops have appeared around me. This is spooky ooky ooky, and I want it to stop. That's it. That's his whole platform. I've ceased caring. I have ceased caring. Charlie, you are a sad and pathetic disgrace for a pundit. And you get scared of things that are different. And it is funny. And I like making fun of you. Your face is small. Hey, thanks for making it to the end of the video. I really could not do any of this without all of you. Those of you watching, and especially those of you who support me on Patreon. I wanted to go ahead and take a minute to thank all of you who do that, because with YouTube being what it is these days, I really cannot do this full time without the support from each and every one of you. Those people would be Red Joker, Purple Poundini, Jemshin, Briskreek, Jupe the Malignant, Michael, Ravalern, Mabbity Babbity, Astral Frontier, Tales of Atonement, Nixie Chan, Kiri Artemis, Limor Pinku, Love Bunny Games, Victorian Alchemist, I'm not saying the last part of that, and you know that. Aurora, Leela Ururaka, Arcton Arclacier, Kiratorian, Dren Hadamata, Jordan M, John L, Lord Bleck, Smiling Game Master, and Fireshard. Thank you so very much. But since you're here, why not go ahead and try watching another one? There should be one that's on the screen right now. And if you are a patron of mine, I wanted to go ahead and thank you again for all of your support. There is still a video you could press though, if you'd like. I would appreciate it just a little bit.